I'm Jana Blount. I am DLA Piper's change maker. I lead and drive the strategic pillar of radical change across our international business and firm. And I think you guys have already heard a lot about all of the changes that are happening and all the innovation that different firms, different businesses, different legal startups are creating in order to change the way lawyers provide their services or advise clients. And I think nobody here could say that we haven't experienced an insane amount of change in the last 6 months. And our clients are facing more ambiguity, more rapid change, and more extreme change now more than ever. And of course, that just puts pressure on law firms, on legal providers, on Big Four, on how we provide the answers, the solutions, and work with our clients to create the solutions to these challenges that they're facing. And I think, as much as we can talk about change and as much as we can talk about different products and offerings, what fundamentally needs to happen is a shift in mindset. If we're going to be asking lawyers, people that are used to spending 10, 20 years being experts in specific areas of law, to start to think differently, to start to use technology, to start to create new products, to engage with the clients differently, what are we doing to empower and enable that change to happen? That's a question that myself and the Change Council, which I lead back at DLA Piper, asked ourselves. So if we're going to be creating this radical change at DLA Piper, what could that look like? And on one hand, it does look like the new services and venturing into consulting and producing some AI platforms that can spot risk for our clients. But actually, if we succeed in all of that, and I think we will, have we fundamentally shifted or changed DLA Piper? And we thought, actually, no, there's something else that's missing here that we need to address. And that's the mindset and cultural shift within the firm itself. So we've embarked on a quite radical program of first creating our own bespoke DLA design thinking framework. And why did we land on design thinking? Well, because at the very Change Council meeting, I thought, if we go into this meeting and we brainstorm in this typical ways and we try to come up with new ideas, but using the old methods and old approaches, do we really expect to come up with something radically different? I think not. So how could we bring in different approach and a different methodology, work as a change council to come up with those radical ideas? And actually what we found was the more and more we thought that way, brainstormed that way, had sessions using design thinking, it was creating a shift in our own thinking, in our own approach, in our own mindsets. And that led to the of, what if we could roll and provide this training for everyone, all 8,000 plus people in the DLA Piper international business? If everyone could start to live these mindsets, that would radically shift DLA Piper. So what do I mean? What are these mindsets I keep talking about? It's three mindsets that sit behind our DLA design framework. And those are understand, create, and implement. To go a bit deeper into each of these, when I say understand, we really want people, whether that's a lawyer, whether that's an IT, whether that's market, BD, HR, we want everyone to think beyond the question presented, beyond the problem that you're trying to answer or that the client comes to you with. And we want to enable everyone to think a little bit deeper. Think about the motivations behind that question. Think about the drivers behind that challenge. Think about the emotions that that client is experiencing and feeling about this challenge or problem that they've presented you with. And just dig a little bit deeper. Something that a trick or tip that everybody here could try is something called the 5 whys. Someone else at our firm has said that he thinks about it as the 3 wise men, just so that he remembers and reminds himself to do this. And that is, when someone comes to you with a question, you need to ask why, not just once, but a few times. And perhaps not just by saying why repeatedly, but really trying to dig deeper. And you can try this yourself. You can go to a friend and just start with a question like, can you tell me something that's really bothering you right now? I'm sure they'll be able to come up with something. And and then ask why. Why is that bothering you? Why does it make you feel that way? What is it about that experience that really gets under your skin? And when you start to do that, you start to really get down to the internal motivations, the things that really matter to that person. You can start with the challenge up here, and by the time you end, you realize actually, if we could solve this problem over here, that is what the client or the person really needs. And this will be great for a moment. We should definitely try to tackle this. But if we get to this core bit over here, that's really where the value is, and that's where we want to be. The second mindset that we're trying to embed and instill in everyone in DLA is this mindset around create. Again, with all these challenges and all these problems that we're facing, we need to come up with novel solutions. These are challenges that we've never encountered before. These are situations we've never found ourselves in. I've never presented on my iPhone, propped up on my laptop in my landing space in my house before. So we're all facing new, different challenges, and that requires us to come up with new, novel, different ideas and solutions to these challenges. Something here that we can practice, or you could take away yourselves in the create mindset, is framing the question differently. So instead of just trying to listen to a client and spot a place that we can plug in, it's trying to spot an opportunity where we can create something new. And when we get to that point where we want to create that something new, we should reframe the question as to how might we enable, empower, help our client to sleep better, to present to Prague and on YouTube in an efficient and effective way, whatever that challenge is, but making sure that we reframe that question with our client or our user at the center. This is really about bringing in some of that divergent thinking. A tool or tip that you guys can take back is when you're trying to come up with some answers and you're wanting to brainstorm, ask yourself, how would NASA do this? What would a 5-year-old say? What would we do if money wasn't an option or an object? Really let yourself go divergent in your thinking and explore and access these different parts of our brain that we might not always tap into in our day-to-day work. We're all creative, actually. It's just about using some different approaches and methodology to tap into that creativity. And then, of course, the last methodology or mindset that we are embedding and teaching through the DLA design framework is to implement. It's no good having great ideas if you can't make them into a reality and turn them into something that creates that value for our clients. And when I say implement, I think one of the main mindset shifts that we're trying to encourage our lawyers at DLA Piper to do is to think about the difference between a pilot and prototyping. In design thinking, we talk a lot about prototyping. And why? How is that different from piloting? When you pilot, you're already thinking, this is our idea, and now we're going to test to see if it works. And you're wedded to this idea, you're wedded to this concept, you're wedded to this business proposition that you've created, and now you're going to test if it works. With prototyping, you're still in a space of learning, of being curious, of testing your assumptions, of failing fast. I think you hear a lot about failing fast, but what does that mean in practical terms? It definitely doesn't mean go out and invest millions of pounds and thousands of hours into developing a product or an idea or a concept. Failing fast should be safe. And it's not just safe because your leadership allows you to do it. It's safe because you're doing it in a different way. And that's what prototyping is all about. One thing that everyone can do, again, when you're at your desk and you're thinking about something and you have a great idea, is instead of just going with this idea and asking people how you can make that happen. You can take that idea and start to think about what are all the underlying assumptions that have to happen in order for this idea to work. So, an example of what I mean is if I have the idea, there's a really bad echo. If I have the idea of creating an amazing reusable straw, what are the assumptions that underlie that? One, people like straws. Two, people are comfortable with using the same straw over and over again. Three, people will carry around a straw. And you start to understand, actually, before I launch this reusable straw business and product, I need to better understand my end users and make sure that I have answers to all of those assumptions. And if I don't, I'm learning quickly. I'm failing fast. I haven't invested a lot, but I know now that what I need in order to make a successful straw business. In sum, those are the three mindsets that we're rolling out within the DLA design framework. All of this is in an effort to do what I think the previous speakers were talking about, which is really partnering with our clients, really understanding what it is that they need, the challenges that they face, the stress that they're under, in order to co-create with them these new products and ways of working in a quick and real way. And that's going to be it for me. I think that's my 10 minutes. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.